Hey guys, welcome to Soul on Fire. My name is Noelle Agape. I am your host. I am a leading expert in health, wellness, and consciousness. And today we have an amazing show for you. I am so excited to bring on this beautiful, powerful house. She is a conscious, incredible creator, LISA FREBERG, and she worked for Dreamworks. She worked for in Hollywood, and she's made commercials. And she is a conscious creator. And guys, we are going to have so much fun. We're going to bring love out to the world today, and we're going to teach you how to actually be a conscious creator. We're going to show you the journey of entrepreneurship and what that looks like, and in facing your fears and your demons. We're going to get you to a higher version of yourself by watching today's show, guys. So stay till the end, because we have, we're going to ask lots of questions at the end, and have a live Q&A. And thank you everyone for watching. Thank you for being here. Thank you for those that are watching on the replay, guys. I am so excited for today. As soon as I start the show, you're going to understand. LISA is this beautiful ray of light, and she really truly is, just brings all of her creations out to the world in such a gorgeous high vibration. And that's what I want to talk a little bit about. I'm going to give you one life hack before we go, because that's what I do, right? Before we get into the show is we're going to talk about a life hack. And a life hack is really today, it came strong as anything right before the show that I needed to talk about being a conscious creator. And what does a conscious creator mean? It means that we are the creator of our own reality, but we also are part of the collective as well, right? And so when you say we are the creator of our reality, our thoughts become patterns, and our patterns become beliefs, and then our beliefs become our reality, right? And that's really just NLP and the quantum physics. Those of you that know me, my name's Noelle Agape. I am a health and wellness counselor. I'm an NLP trainer and a quantum trainer. And guys, being a conscious creator means that you get to step into your power. You get to live as the person that you know you're supposed to be. You create on a daily basis, and you manifest on a daily basis. And what you create comes through you. And whether it's a low vibration or a high vibration, that's really entirely up to you, right? And in the media and society today, everything is being twisted and manipulated in so many different ways, right? So it is our responsibility to come out as a conscious creator. Now, I'm not talking a conscious creator like my posts on Instagram or my posts on Facebook or anything like that, because we are going to get into that, how important that is, because that's what LISA does, right? She's a creator. But what we are going to talk about right now as a conscious creator is being a conscious creator in your life, making a conscious choice to eliminate toxicity, eliminate toxic thoughts, toxic people, toxic foods, toxic things in your life, including people on social media, including the media, including the movies, including the things that you watch and put into your body, guys. So your brain is literally like a sponge. And so if you are absorbing the vibration of, the very, very, very low vibrations of what's being put out into the media right now, and you're watching the news before you go to bed, or you're literally absorbing all of this negativity before you're going to bed, you're actually bringing that into your sleep. And that's programming your subconscious mind to say, it's okay to be in this negative vibration. It's okay to be, in fear or doubt or scarcity or lack. It's actually, you are being controlled by your environment. You are not controlling your environment. So life hack, how do we control our environment? We make conscious choices on a daily basis to be a conscious creator. What does that mean? You create all that you are, whether it's the food that you eat or the thoughts that you have going on in a loop in your mind, or it's the people you surround yourself with, right? And so I don't even watch the news anymore, guys, at all, literally. And there's so many times where there's so many things that are being spun for so many different ways. And we don't talk politics at all on the show, and we never will. But what we will talk about is that you get the choice, right? You get to choose how you want to, where you want to have your thoughts go. You get to choose the energy that you want to surround yourself in. You get to choose what part of your life you want to change. If something is showing up in your life, guys, it is showing you to teach you. The only two things that our emotions are there for are for experience and expansion. So you're either experiencing something with what you're reading, what you're putting out there, what you're absorbing on the negative, or you're expanding. And if you're not expanding from that space, then it's not good for you, right? And so let's talk a little bit about expansion and how that looks like. Expansion is moving from a different version of you. Expanding is literally not just doing it physically and mentally, but energetically, moving the energy out of your energy fields. Again, that's a whole nother topic for a whole nother show, but being a conscious creator means that you live consciously, you think consciously, you eat consciously, you do your life on a conscious basis. And those that know me know that that's one of the most important components of my life. I truly meditate every day. I eat healthy. What goes in my body is organic and healthy and nutrients for my body. I never watch the news anymore. I never engage in negativity. If there's negativity in my world, I honor the space that that person's in, but I don't connect to it. And that's how you can be a conscious creator, guys, is you can actually take control of the little micro units of your life, and you can be a conscious creator in your own life. I'm super, super excited to go deep into this topic today with Lisa, because she is a genius at creation. She worked for Dreamworks. She has been a producer. She has made commercials, and she's been in Hollywood for a very long time, left Hollywood, and now is doing her own thing as a badass powerhouse entrepreneur. But she's doing it from a conscious level. She's emanating love and light out into the world, guys. And so stay tight, stay to the end. We're going to have a Q&A, and we're also going to go deep, deep, deep into understanding what entrepreneurship's about, because that's really important to understand what vibrations you are as a conscious creator in this world. If you're an entrepreneur in this world and you are not conscious of your vibrations, guys, that is bringing out to the world. Your business is part of you. And if you're bringing out a lower vibration or a lower frequency into the world, it's your responsibility to change that. I love you guys, and we'll be right back in just a minute. Welcome back, guys. Thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for everyone that is watching on the replay. We have such a beautiful gift for you today. So sit tight, because we are going to go deep, deep, deep into being a badass entrepreneur, being a conscious creator with Lisa Freberg. She's amazing. She is beautiful. And thank you so much for being on, Lisa. Hi, Lisa. How are you? Thank you for being here.
Noelle, thank you so much for having me. And I got to say, I just learned, I was taking notes as you're chatting. I was just like, this is so brilliant. I love it. I love it. And I'm just really so excited to be speaking with you, and also just already been blessed. I just want to first applaud you.
Thank
really
you
for the amazing work you're doing. This is really cool. Really, I'm excited to be here. Thank you so much.
Well, we're so excited to have you. I think you and I, we connected instantly, right? We just met on the phone yesterday, and we got connected through a beautiful mutual friend, and we just knew that it was beautiful synchronicities. So Lisa, tell us about your journey, because your journey is such a beautiful gift to this world, right? What you have created is some of the masterpieces that have come out into this world. And I'm so, proud of you and honored to have you on your show. So thank you so much. And let's talk about you now.
Well, where do we begin? I as a child, I was actually very interested in drama, and I was kind of the show off in my family. They all said that I always wanted the light on me, but I don't know that that's really what it was about. I think it was more about giving and more about entertaining people, and this idea of creating these worlds that really tap into people's imagination. And from that, so as a kid, I did these things, and then I went to school and studied film, because I'm a very pragmatic person, and also thought, well, if I can't do that, then I need to really make a living. And then I discovered that I had these skills that I didn't know I had. I never really thought that I was like, as a producer, you have to be really organize. You have to think forward. You have to be proactive. There's a lot of things that go into being the producer. It's like you're kind of the air traffic controller of the whole, kabang. So I really kind of found my real passion and saw that it kind of married these ideas of having a creative vision, but then also being able to tap into and celebrate other people's creativity. When you're making anything, a commercial, a movie, social media, anything, it's such a great collaboration. And as a producer, really that role is to help think about what the big vision is, but then bring in all those different creative people to bring it to life. And, with a director, bring their vision to fruition. So I just love, and I feel really, really fortunate that I am doing something that's really so collaborative.
Oh, I love that so much. And thank you again for, hi, Samoy, thanks for being on. And hi, Casey. So we have some beautiful people on the show right now that are leaving some great comments. And so tell us a little bit about what it means to be a conscious creator, because I think that is such an important role that we have, right? And it takes a massive amount of spiritual maturity, I guess, and not even spiritual, but maturity to bring out a conscious creation, right? Because we can, especially in today's society, we can bring things out really easily and we can manipulate the mind very, very easily, right? And so what does that look like of being a conscious creator? What does that look like to come into a society that is really that has a lot of paradigms already built in, and then bring your beautiful love and light out into the world on such a conscious level? And how do you do that? Because it's so important. I think what you do is so important because there's so much darkness in this world, and you bring so much light out into to the public, right? And it's our responsibility as creators to be on a higher vibration, because if we're not, then we're actually emanating that out to the world. So talk a little bit about that.
I think, I believe, and I've experienced that being a conscious creator starts with you internally. And I think that for me personally, it's been about two things. Number one, really, I have this very core belief that every single person, every one of us, no matter what we have done, no matter what we have gone through, we have value. And every person's story is important to hear. And the best example I can give you of this is I actually many years ago made a documentary about the sexual abuse of children in the Catholic Church. And I felt it was very, very important to hear the stories of these amazing survivors. But then I also wanted to hear the story and the experience of a priest, a perpetrator. And I was able to get this interview, and I was like this little, independent producer. Like this was right when things were blowing up in the United States. And I had started my film about a year before. And it was just really interesting that I wrote a letter to literally one of the most notorious priests who was serving 3 life sentences. And I wrote him a letter and I told him I wanted to hear his story. And it wasn't manipulating him. Because I believe that despite everything that he had done, he was still loved by God, and he was still a very important person. He's still breathing. So there was still purpose to his life. So I, had this interview with him, and so many people since then have said, like, how did you do that? Didn't you just want to punch the guy? All of these things. And I really think that this story goes to your question of being a conscious creator. To me, the most important thing to do, and I'm sure I say this, Noelle, that I think for you in the work you do, it's about not judging. It's about what is your experience? What is the story you're trying to tell, whether it be a documentary or a scripted piece of content? Don't judge your characters. It's a very important thing that, actors do. And as a filmmaker and a storyteller, I think it's very, very important to never judge the person or the story, and don't interject your own agenda I personally think that that's a real big thing that's happening in the film business and entertainment, is all these agendas, everybody trying to tell everybody else, what to think, what to do. And instead of just telling a story and letting with the good, the bad, and the ugly, we're all full, whole humans with a past. And we're all on this journey together. So, when you and I were talking yesterday, I think I mentioned to you that, my company, and people often ask me, well, that's a weird name for a company run by a woman. I do have a partner who is male, but our company is called One Good Man Productions. And the company's named after a person who was a manager and talent manager, very, very successful. His name is Robert Goodman. And Robert was one of those people who he really emulates his name. He is a good man.
Oh, I love that.
In the business of swimming with sharks at a very, very high level, he still maintains his integrity, his character, his passion for the artists that he represented. But he chose to get out of the business about 15 years ago because he had a higher calling, more things he wanted to do. But my partner was one of his clients, and he always said if he ever opened a production company, he wanted to name it after Robert. And he wanted our company to emulate the characteristics of Robert. I took all that a further step, and I think the reason this is our name is because we are all one good mankind as humans connecting to each other. We have to see our common, I think, just our commonality as humans on the planet. I'm sure, Noelle, you can say this in a much better way than I can, but my point is that's how I think you're a conscious creator, is you got to drop your judgments from the get-go and just tell a truthful story.
I love that so much. And judgment really, and I did a whole segment on judgment and discernment, and the difference between making conscious choices is discernment, and judgment is really, it's your insecurity that you're emanating out onto someone else, right? And so that's really in societies today is what they're, either trying to control and manipulate and or judge, right? And so there's so much going on, and going back to just being human, right? And loving, those that know me, I'm a humanitarian, and I love humanity. I truly do. I don't love all of the choices that humans make, but I love humanity. And that always brings me back, right? It brings me back to love. It brings me back to understanding, because discernment, and let's talk a little bit about that, because when we're creating, that's what we have to do. We have to, we're in a position of power when we're a creator, right? An influencer, a creator, a filmmaker, an actor, we're in a position of power to influence people, right? And so how we choose to do that is really, if it's not conscious, then there's manipulation behind it, right? And so let's talk about discernment versus judgment. And discernment is such a beautiful gift, because it is the choice to, oh, I see that's, that person's not making the best choices, or, oh, I see that I didn't make the best choices. I see that I can be better. I see that person did better. I'm choosing not to engage in that, because that is actually where they are, and I'm honoring where they are, but it's not my responsibility to take care of them. They're responsible for their emotions. Whereas judgment would be like, oh my gosh, look at that person, and they're doing this, this, and this. And really, when you have judgment within anything, you have judgment within yourself, right? And so you have to go within, and you have to find why you can make a choice not to be in that vibration or around that person or be around that thought or anything. But why are you judging it, right? So let's talk about the difference between judgment and discernment when you're producing and when you're literally creating and bringing things out to the world, and how important that is.
I love that question. That's so intuitive. I think for me, the difference between the two is judgment is, as you said, it's ego-based. So I think when we judge others, judge the people we're working with, judge our content, judge the story we're trying to tell, it's almost as if it's the outside looking in, and you're not actually present. You're not in the middle of it. You're not like embracing whatever the moment is, the people. Discernment, I personally believe, I don't really think you can do the things that we're talking about without a really deep spiritual connection to, I call the creator God. So I think in the discernment comes from the Holy Spirit. So to me, I love that. And I think that when I meditate or pray, whatever the words are, I think we've all gotten so hung up on words that they have become kind of roadblocks for people to really reaching this level of intimacy.
Agreed.
To really be conscious creators. If we look at the world and think that we have a creator, then everything that is creative is an expression of the creator. Everything. So everything we do, this is why I think children are so fantastic, because you see a child comes into the world, they want to color, they want to sing, they just want to create all day long. And I think as people, grown-ups, it would be so great. I know for myself, when I become more playful, when I really tap into this idea of really not judging myself and being free, then the discernment comes. It's like a roadblock. I think the judgment becomes a real roadblock. And at the end of the day, it's fear. So one of the big breakthroughs for me personally was when I realized that oftentimes I've kind of given up because I was afraid in the valley. I was afraid that I was going to, lose everything. And believe me, as an entrepreneur, filmmaker, I mean, I've done some crazy things people would think are crazy as far as financially.
I think we have to, as creators and entrepreneurs, those two combinations together, you have to be a little bit crazy, just so you know.
I agree.
I think that anybody that is in their own business and anybody that is literally a conscious creator, they have a little bit, they're not the norm by any means.
Exactly. But then it's like, everybody says you can't take it with you, so you might as well just go for it. But I think that does have a lot to do. I think fear of being so attached to things really sometimes limits people creatively, because they're afraid of losing their things. They're afraid of being broke. They're afraid of what people are going to say. I mean, there's just fear. And you talk all the time about love. Your last name is love. The opposite of love is fear. So again, going back to kind of my Christian roots is, perfect love cast out all fear. And that's really, when I really, I lived that way for a long time, but I didn't really know how to translate that over to what I did professionally and translate that over into the choices I made. I love what you said earlier about the expansion, that this idea, I literally took notes on this. This is so brilliant.
Oh, that's good. I'm a trainer, so I love that. So I'm always training.
But you are not your thoughts. And I think our thoughts are that's not my own idea. This comes from, The Untethered Soul, or Eckhart's Holy.
That's such an incredible book. I mean, I'm like a wealth of knowledge because I love reading and I love diving deeper. And I think that, having that curiosity of the next step. And you said something that was so amazing, Lisa, that is, the opposite of love is not hate. And so many people think it's hate. The opposite is fear. And so behind the hate is actually fear. And so many don't even go that deep or understand the subconscious or understand what's going on with it, the neurotransmitters and their belief systems and society as a whole. They think that hate is like an emotion that they emanate out. Actually, behind the hate is there's anger and there's fear. And those are the two, other than guilt and shame, those are the lowest vibrations on the planet, right? And so when you're emanating, and love is the highest vibration in the planet. And so when you are coming from that space, you are coming from a space of, you're putting out content, information, you're trying to be an influencer, and you're coming from hate or fear or anger, right? Those are extremely low frequencies, and when you're connected to that, like attracts like, and that's what you're going to bring into your world, right? And so the more you focus on that, the more that's what's going to come back into your world. I love what you said about fear, and I want to go deeper into the fear of becoming an entrepreneur. We're going to take a short break and be right back, and we're going to come back and learn about being an entrepreneur and the grit and grime and the raw and real of being an entrepreneur, not the, oh, hey, look, I own my own business, right? What it really takes to own your own business, what it takes to, and I say all the time, go from, my coach taught me, Megan Hill, you taught me this, going from a solopreneur to a freedompreneur, where you can go anywhere in the world, right? Solopreneur is you do your own thing. Freedompreneur is going anywhere in the world. Entrepreneur is like owning your own business and then moving into global impact. And you can't move into global impact without being conscious. So we'll be right back, guys. Today's show is sponsored by my company, noelleagape.com. And we will be right back with the amazing LISA Freberg. And she's going to talk about being a badass, conscious entrepreneur and getting global impact and how to do that. We'll be right back, guys. Welcome back, guys. Thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for everyone that's on the replay. We are so blessed today to have LISA Freberg join us. We have talked about being a conscious creator and being what it takes to be the creator of your own reality. We have talked about what it takes to actually produce content that is coming from love and not coming from hate. And what is behind hate is anger and fear. We've talked about moving into a higher vibration so you can be an influencer, or you can actually make an influence, whether you're an influencer or just a human, make an impact and an influence on this world from the highest vibration. Welcome back, LISA. Thanks so much again for being here. So let's talk about being an entrepreneur and the journey, the real and raw journey of entrepreneurship, right? Because you and I know that it's super glamorous and it looks like, we're a TV host or you're a producer and we have this like beautiful glamorous life. Yes, we kind of do. And it took 17 years to get here for me, right? And a hell of a lot of a journey with fear and anxious and anxiety and tremendous losses and tremendous gains and a lack of trust with people and broken friendships and looking within and finding me and expanding to a higher version of myself. And then every single stage, moving from the solopreneur to the freedompreneur, to the entrepreneur, to the making global impact, every stage had fear. Every stage had obstacles. Every stage, for me, at least, every stage of my growth, whether it was personal, business, or financial, or whatever it may be, there's always a new point to learn, right? And we teach for a living, right? You and I, even though we do different things, we're still teachers, but we are always learning too. And I think that that's the difference in the entrepreneur world, is that if you've stopped learning and if you think that you're in your ego so much that you haven't grown to the point where you can expand on a daily basis, then you really shouldn't be an entrepreneur, right? Talk a little bit about your journey as an entrepreneur and what that looks like, because it's so beautiful. And it really was this gift of transformation for you, right?
It really was. And I love the way you kind of put the stepping stones together. That's really brilliant. I had this there were many times when I was a freelancer for many, many years. So I think, first of all, for all of you who are freelancers, you are an entrepreneur, whether you know it or not. I never looked at myself as an entrepreneur for years. I mean, I was a freelancer for probably over 15 years. I really, until I went to Dreamworks, which was in 2008, it was my first real job. So I worked in commercials.
You worked for Dreamworks as your first real job? Like, what? That's crazy.
Well, I had one job out of college for 1 year, and then I became a freelancer. And after I made a trip to Japan to teach some English, but it was I've never looked at myself in that way. And I look back now and I think, oh my gosh, I made so many stupid mistakes because I think it was what you just called. I never thought of it before. A solopreneur. How did you call it? What did you call it?
Solopreneur, and then entrepreneur, then freedompreneur, where you can like pretty much just travel, use your laptop, you can go anywhere you want, and you have the freedom to do whatever you want. But the solopreneur is like an independent contractor, right? And that's
Okay.
just.
So I was that. Then I was the freedom. I never knew how to define this. So as a producer, primarily working on commercials at the time, I traveled all over the world, shooting, and many times I was like the only woman on the crew with all men, and just So
that's a good deal right there. Yeah. That's a good deal to be the only woman with all men.
Yeah, it was. But I think the things I learned from that is, don't try to be one of them, just be a strong woman. And that's the best thing I can say to any, woman, especially young women today. There is no reason to try to be a man. There's no reason to try to act like a man. There's no reason to try to be, embrace your femininity, and that's your most badass self. It truly is. We are so strong
so much
as women. And
it's the most powerful. The divine feminine is the most powerful energies on the planet right now.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Yes.
And that's where all the resistance is coming in, actually.
Yeah. But we're supposed to coexist. I don't think we're in competition. And I think that's the most important thing. I'm kind of getting off track on your question, but I do think that, so during those periods of time, I then segued and worked at a studio, but there was always this nagging thing inside, or I shouldn't say nagging, but this desire, as I said earlier, to go tell the stories I wanted to tell. I had all these skill sets. I knew I was a good storyteller. I knew I was a creative person, but the roles that I played many times, because I could do it and I was good at it, was more the execution of other people's visions, other people's creative ideas. So, and as a producer, it's very easy, especially, I got out of advertising many years ago, but even when I went over to the studio, it was still that role. And I finally just said, I need to just jump off the cliff. And if I fall flat on my face, so be it. But I got to prove to myself that I can do this. I grew up in Texas. And when I moved here after I I was married for 7 years, went through a divorce. And then that was kind of the same thinking. It was like, I need to move to California. I moved here to Los Angeles. I knew one person who was not in the film business, but just pieces fell into place. And I believe that's what happens when you're really following your true heart's desire. I think that I believe whatever it is that you really in your secret desire that only you tell some people, and maybe when you share it with them, you get a little bit choked up because it's so personal to you. And it feels like it's the real fragile, like little kid inside of you that really, really wants to do something. That's the thing to go do. And as an entrepreneur,
that's the name of the show is Soul on Fire, right? It ignites the passion within, and it's truly, it's that that spark inside of you that lights you up. That's something that's going to pull you, and your soul, its purpose, and your gifts will never allow you not to move towards that direction. Life will show you one way or the other, and the journey to entrepreneurship is the fastest way to expansion and enlightenment, I think, on the planet, because it is, you face every fear that you have, right?
Yes.
You face everything that you have. Now, let's talk about that, because it's super important, Lisa. Is that desire that's inside of you. You knew that this was your soul's calling, right? This was my soul's calling. I knew it was my soul's calling. And there were so many obstacles along the way. I mean, there were blockages after blockages, but you and I both did the internal work, right? You do a lot of work on, you and I spoke yesterday, you do a ton of work internally. I do this for a living, right? I meditate, I teach meditation. But we had to get to that place. We had to face every fear we have ever had and turn it from a debilitator to a motivator, right? We had to say, oh, hey, fear, I see you. You're coming on the journey with me anyway. What can we do to make this a better journey together, right? And so let's talk about fear on the road to entrepreneurship and living your soul's purpose and tapping into your gifts, because so many people are afraid of their gifts that they will not use them, because it is really your gifts are your soul's purpose, right? Your gifts are your soul's purpose. And through your pain is always your purpose. Through your pain is always your purpose, right? And so let's talk about that a little bit and the journey of getting through fear and getting through the pain and the hardships to get to where you were.
I think so. The journey there was, I think a lot of times when you choose to really pursue whatever that deep desire is inside, it's risky, but it's also kind of, you get rid of excuses. So as an entrepreneur, I think that it's this checks and balance of like, okay, it's up to me. I can't blame anybody. I can't say my boss like screwed me over. I can't, all the things that you talk about of like really embracing love. You have to have love for yourself in order to be able to even be successful. It's up to you to move the ball forward. So if you're judging yourself, beating yourself up every time you screw up, I mean, believe me, I've made so many mistakes, and some like really dumb mistakes, like, you know, the filmmaker, when I first had this, I got all these amazing properties and I'm trying to like figure out, well, how do I get VC funding? How do I do this? How do I do that? And, you know, I was totally suckered into some people who said they could help me like get this money for a film. And I literally threw a lot of like, and by the way, I was not in a position that I could afford to lose the money that I did.
Same. Like hundreds of thousands of dollars I have invested in other people that were going to get me to my soul's purpose. And I say all the time, because I teach this, right? No one is ever going to get you to your soul's purpose. What we can do is I can guide you to get to your limiting beliefs and understand your energetic fields and how to get there. But if anyone ever tells you that they know your soul's purpose and they have the plan to get there, run as fast as you can.
And pay them to do
it. Exactly. And there are people that can help you and guide you if you don't know how to get there. Let you know. But it's a difference between guiding you to you or telling you how to get to you, right? That's a huge difference.
Yes.
And we live in California, and there's a lot of beautifulness about California, and there's a lot of not so beautifulness, right? It's super shady, the industry that we're in, right? And so let's talk about being conscious out on public, right? Being in the public figure and being conscious and bringing that gift out to the world as an entrepreneur, because, you know, it's truly a responsibility when we're at the level up that we are, right?
I think it is. And I think that, you know, the key is, again, it may sound like I'm a broken record, but on some level, I think to do that is two things. Number one, when working with people, you know, I've been very fortunate to work with just on a project, but then also build personal relationships with some very, very powerful and influential people in the music industry and the film business. And the thing that I will tell you that was a huge breakthrough for me was, again, going back to fear, but this idea that we are all the same. And I think I mentioned to you yesterday, Noelle, that one of the most profound things I have done was to read and embrace the 4 agreements. And that is to be impeccable with your word, don't make assumptions, take nothing personally, and always do your best. And what's interesting is that's what helped me break through this intimidation that I previously felt when dealing with some real bigwig. Like there was always, you know how you feel this thing of like, oh, I'm so lucky to be here, and oh my gosh, and then your words are guarded, and then like I realize, I really think that's what stifles a lot of people, is this sense of somebody, I can't articulate it very well, but I know when in my past, I knew there was a breakthrough when it wasn't a matter of convincing myself, well, I put my pants on the same way they do. Like, that's not what that is not the same thing. That's trying to pep yourself up. That's a pep talk for yourself. Whereas if you really get down to this real core knowing that I am creating in a conscious way. It's about the creative endeavor that we're doing. It's not about my ego. It's not about me getting credit. It's not about anything other than the creative content, the creative story, the creative purpose that you're focusing on. That's the most important thing in the room. So everybody, including the bigwig, the energy has to focus there. And it's so interesting when you see that it's so obvious when people are about their ego, when their fear is driving them because they make stupid decisions. They want to kill jobs because, oh my gosh, you might get credit and the light will come off of me. And it's just fascinating. And I will say the most successful people that I've had the privilege of working with, and I'm talking about some really, anybody in your audience would know these people. The most amazing thing I learned was they were truly humble. They were truly creative. They were passionate. They were love. One of my favorite people, every email, he ends it with love. I love you.
I do too.
Love. And this is not like some big Christian preacher who you expect to say, I love you. and it's just, so I feel that as an entrepreneur, to go back to your question, it goes back to, again, being love and trying to always make decisions that are for the good of everybody involved and not just about, your own, trying to climb up, to get to the top of the mountain, and step on everybody on the way there.
I think that's so important. And I think that when I write, I write from a creative point of view. And whether it's a blog or a book or, or a post, it's how is the person or the viewer or the person behind the screen, how are they going to feel when they like everything that I do is encoded in love, right? Every email that I send, everything. And sometimes they're a little bit harsh because we have to be, right? But there's always love behind it. And if you stand strong in who you are, and you can be strong and firm and still have love in that as well, right? And
I'm so glad you said that, because it can start to sound super cheesy. And even as I'm saying this, I think, I've had to deal with lawsuits. I've had to deal with, letting people go. So, there could be some people in your audience are like, she is not love.
No, because I'm raw and real, love. I'm not bubbles and unicorns. And yes, I am bubbles and unicorns in my daily life, but I'm raw and real. And I have lost friends. I've lost family members because I'm raw and real, but I love you from my soul. And if you're not acting right and you could be a better version of you, I'm going to show you. I'm never going to judge you. I'm just going to show you. And then I'm going to be raw and real with you. And I'm going to give you the opportunity to rise. Right. And sometimes when you give people the opportunity to rise, they don't like that very much. But that's part of the divine feminine, is such a strong presence, right? You can say no. You can say, I'm in my power. And you can say, this is my boundary, and be firm in that boundary in the divine feminine. But it doesn't mean that you're being a bitch or you're, and a lot of the time women have gotten labeled with that. But if you're coming from love and you're coming from your inner power, that's your truth, and you're truly standing in your power, they have no say. And that's their stuff, not yours, right? And exactly. So let's talk a little bit about emotions and going on the emotional roller coaster of that, because it's super, being an entrepreneur is such a crazy journey of emotions, right? But managing your emotions through the hardships and understanding what you and I talked about yesterday is that we understood that there were things that came up, but we had to emotionally manage our emotions and manage our energy to get to the next level, because you cannot get to B, you cannot get to Z. I mean, I feel, hear, and see everything. So I know A and I feel Z, and I'm already there, right? Part of my journey was understanding I had to get to B, I had to get to C, and I had to deal with my emotions along the way. Let's talk about that and what that looks like along the entrepreneur journey.
That's such a good question. One of the big impacts on me was I read this article about, and in the article, Sumner Redstone, who was, I think, he was the chairman of Viacom, I think, but he somebody asked him, what do you see as the difference between the successful people and the people who just kind of don't make it? And in the article, he said what they do in their moments of failure. And this was something I literally read probably 20 years ago, but I really stuck with me, and it took me time to kind of get there. But the point was, he said, those who wallow in their moments of failure don't make it. And I think as an entrepreneur, that is so important, because when you do something, I mean, as a human, it's important. When we make mistakes, the voice that is beating you up, the voice that's telling you you're such a loser, the voice that tells you fill in the blank, is not the voice of God. It's not your voice. It is not the voice to listen to. And again, you are in charge of your own thoughts. So when I really recognize I'm in charge of my thoughts, that is the pathway to, I think, as an entrepreneur, to realize what I dwell on, what I focus on. If the person, like when I got screwed over and somebody, I made a stupid decision and now I've thrown away all this money, I can either dwell on that, or I could also become super focused on, I'm going to, file action against them, or you can get so
the victim, right? You could absolutely be in the victim. And that's, I teach all the time, right? There's three loops in the victim loop. You're either the victim, the prosecutor, or the hero. And when you're in that loop, you're just constantly going through a triangle of, oh, right now I'm in the victim, someone's prosecuting me. And I have a hero. Instead, when you turn within and you say, I'm not going to be on that victim loop anymore, I'm going to actually stand in my power, and you break away from that victim loop and you say, there's a solution out there. What am I going to do? I mean, there's been many, many times along my journey where I had to literally stop and do a check within me and say, well, this is showing up in my life. What can I do? How can I do better? Right. So, oh my gosh, Lisa, so many good nuggets in there. I love it. I love it. So we're going to take a short break, and we are going to come right back, because we are going to have a question. We have a few questions for you. We're going to have a live Q&A, and then we're going to talk about your film and how people can find you and everything. We'll be right back. Welcome back, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. We are here live with Lisa Freberg, and she is an amazing, beautiful, conscious creator. She is a producer, and she makes films, she makes commercials. She's an entrepreneur. We talked about fear. We talked about stepping into your higher power. We talked about really creating from a place of love as opposed to of manipulation and hate. And now we are going to answer some questions. Lisa, you ready?
Okay.
Okay. So the first question is, I can't see who the viewers are, so I'm just going to ask you the questions. What was your favorite creative thing that you've ever produced?
Oh, that's a good question. I think, and I'm not just saying this because we're just finishing it, but I think it's the film that we're wrapping up right now. This independent film, Alex October. And I think it's my favorite thing I've produced, because it's literally a story. It's the story I wanted to tell. So again, a big risk because we independently made it, but it's a beautiful, beautiful story. From an exciting standpoint, I've worked on some pretty cool things. I produced first and probably only 3D commercial that was on the Super Bowl a couple of years ago. So those are like those stereoscopic glasses. So that was pretty cool. I have like a picture of Obama wearing the glasses, watching the commercial. And that was a very crazy project. So that was fun. And I've just been really fortunate to work on some amazing projects.
Oh, okay. Awesome. Awesome. I love that I mean, just your bio is insane with like what you have produced. Really, it's so beautiful and so insane. Oh, so. Um, Working in Hollywood, how is the raw and real of working in Hollywood? I don't know who that is. Thank you.
Wait, what's the question again?
Working in Hollywood. What's the raw and real of working in Hollywood?
The raw and real is if you work hard, if you have a good work ethic, if you're honest and have integrity, you can make it. So that's really the raw and real of it. I think that lots of people, especially when I came out to LA, I think there were many, many people who thought they had to kind of schmooze and be a game player. But ultimately, the truth of the matter is, and I will tell you this from having worked with amazing people like Jeffrey Katzenberg, who I've learned so much from having worked, for him and with him. He is literally one of the most hardworking people I have ever met in my life. He's passionate. He loves what he does. He never asks you to do things he wouldn't do himself. And anybody in Hollywood that's at the top of their game has worked very, very, very hard to get there.
Oh, I love that.
Go for it. It's possible. I mean, it is possible to do. There's no secret sauce. You know what I mean? And I think it's important for people to understand that it's not, you can do it.
Oh, that's so amazing. We have one more question, and then we're running out of time. So, guys, if please put all of your questions in the comments below. Lisa will go back and answer all the questions. I'll answer all the questions. And so we're getting the juicy, raw, and real of a Hollywood producer. So let's talk. So here's one. Let me see. There's so many. Oh my gosh. I'm just going to choose this one. Who's your favorite actor, actress that you've worked with? I think your husband's an actor, so he doesn't count.
No, he doesn't count. My favorite actor or actress that I've worked with, Dustin Hoffman.
Oh, I love Dustin Hoffman. Yeah, tell me about. Is he just amazing soul?
Yes. Oh. He, again, another example of just such a pro, and just comes in, does his job, gracious to everyone, just incredible. Another person that I'll put in that category is I've had the good fortune of working with Garth Brooks. He is
like an amazing human. Like, he's just yummy. Like, literally every part of him is just yummy.
He is. Every part of him is yummy. And his wife, Trisha, these are two of the most authentic, genuine, good people. Not good people because they're big superstars, just good people. You know what I'm saying? I'm not putting the caveat, they're really good considering they're such superstars. No, these are great people on the planet, and anybody who knows them are very fortunate.
Oh, I love that so much. I love that so much. And so, Lisa, thank you so much for being here. How can people, well, what are you working on first? Let's start with that. What are you working on? And then how can people find you, and what are you doing right now? Like, what hot projects are you working on? I know you literally were editing a film last night, so I don't know if that's a secret or not, but I know that you're working on a big project, and how can everyone find you?
Yeah, so the film that we're finishing, literally rushing to make the final deadline to the Sundance Film Festival, is called Alex in October. It's written and directed by Josh Hope, very talented. We had brilliant composer Roger Neal. It's a wonderful, wonderful movie, starring Brad Hunt and Tara Shane. That's what I'm working on. And then we're also working on content for a lot of really phenomenal clients. We're working with the Singleton Foundation, which is focusing on financial literacy, like cracking financial literacy and good for wellness for people. We're also working with the Elizabeth Taylor Foundation on HIV is not a crime. So what's really cool is I get to go make these movies and do these other projects that I have, and then also work in the philanthropic space to create content that'll really help to elevate people's experiences and help everybody live at a better, higher level.
Oh my gosh. Well, I would love to collaborate with you on anything that you're doing because you're pure light and pure love, and you're such a beautiful conscious creator. I absolutely would love to collaborate with you.
Yay!
You want, and as far as the philanthropy or the humanitarian aspect of it, I'm always in, right? Always, always, always. That's beautiful. So where can people find you? What's your business? And what's the easiest place for them to find you?
So we're One Good Man Productions. It's literally spelled One Good Man Production. So ogm.productions.com, or we also have our Instagram at ogm. And that's how you can find me. We have Facebook, all of those kinds of things. Very active in the social space. My company is, not me personally, but I would love to hear from any of your listeners. It would be really wonderful to hear from you. As I said, we do scripted, unscripted content. And then ironically, through COVID, we've gotten really heavily into creating series for social channels, which has been really cool. We had to kind of pivot and figure out, how can we shoot when we can't go shoot? And we had a great fortune of working with Joey Sasso, this great kid from The Circle. So we're doing some shows with him. So there's a lot of stuff we have going on, and I'm very, very fortunate.
Oh my gosh. Well, you are an amazing human, and I thank you so much for being here. Thank you for bringing your gifts to the world. We love and honor who you are, and you have so much light inside of you that you are bringing out to this world. And I just want to honor you for this moment right now, because you really are beautiful. Thank you. Thank you for being a conscious creator. Thank you for being responsible enough to step into that space of love when you're creating, because there's not very many people that do that. So thank you. You're welcome back here anytime. I would love to highlight you in your movie when it comes out. That would be amazing if you would like to come back.
Of course. And Noelle, I want to just applaud you. I think you are really I'm going to cry, because you're doing such a special work, and it's really important what you're doing.
Thank you. Thank you. It's and my gift to the world. And I know that my gift, I had to, through everything, I had to do it. And so thank you. I honor you so much, and I appreciate you, and I'm receiving your gift too. So I appreciate you, and stay back on, and we'll talk after the show. Okay. Thank you, Lisa, for being on. You're an amazing, beautiful human, and you're welcome back anytime.
Thank you.
So guys, I am so excited, because this today was just about bringing love out into the world and understanding what it's like to be a conscious creator. It's understanding that you get to choose your reality. You get to live in the light, and you get to actually turn the darkness into light. You get to live through your pain is always your purpose. You get to stand in your purpose. You get to bring your gifts out into the world. But as a conscious creator, it's a responsibility, guys. You have to be responsible. You have to honor you. You have to honor other humans. You have to love from your soul. And you have to know that we are one, all as one. Just like Lisa said, we are one. And just, guys, if you come from that space of being all one, and you come from the space of loving as opposed to hate, and you look at hate as fear and anger instead of anything else, and you look at the obstacles that are in front of you, whether it's in your entrepreneur journey or whatever it may be, even if it's just your kids in that moment, try to find love, guys, because I promise that love is always the answer. I love you guys, and I am so grateful for all that you are watching. Thank you for watching. Thank you for watching on the replay. My name is Noelle Agape. I am the leading expert in health, wellness, and consciousness. And guys, we are here to change the world. Together, we are the change. Thank you so much for sharing this, liking this, and subscribing, because if you get this message out to as many people as possible, we send love and light out to the world. You are amazing, and take your gifts and use them, because they are not yours to give to this world. I love you guys, and I will see you in the next video.